Good morning. With the successful and spectacular launch of Falcon 9 and Dragon early this morning, we're pleased to welcome you to the SpaceX CRS-4 post-launch news conference. Here to share their thoughts on the success today are Sam Shamimi, the International Space Station Division Director from NASA headquarters in Washington, and Hans Königsmann, SpaceX Vice President of Mission Assurance and the Chief Engineer for today's launch. We'll start off with some opening comments, and then we'll be happy to take questions. Sam?
Thank you. First of all, I want to say what a beautiful morning it was this morning for the SpaceX launch on a beautiful night sky. You can even see the stars and the Falcon 9 launch vehicle going through the constellation Orion this morning. It was a beautiful sight. I want to thank the SpaceX team and all the NASA teams from around the country, and CASIS and all the other scientific and researchers that are participating on this flight and this mission. This launch from this morning kicks off a very busy month for us on the International Space Station. Coming up this week, this Thursday, I believe, we have a Soyuz launch, launching our new increment to the space station. Also, we have a orbital CRS launch coming up within a month, and another Progress flight, as well as Russian and U.S. EVAs coming up in the next month or so. With that, again, I want to congratulate SpaceX and Hans and his teams for our beautiful launch this morning, and that's all I have.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Nothing like a good launch. It's just fantastic. Worked very hard yesterday, and weather wasn't quite playing along, and then today everything was beautiful. Weather cleared up in time, rain dissipated, and from what I can tell at first glance, everything was really perfect. Very good orbit insertion, very nice flight. Dragon propellant priming was perfect this time. Very nice orbit, and solar arrays deployed on time. Everything was basically on time. We had success on the first stage too. We had a couple of good burns on the first stage. I don't have any significant details, just sketchy light here and light there details, and I saw it on the video, which always is exciting. And then on the second stage also we had a second burn that went very successful, and deposited the stage basically in a re-entry ellipse, I think south of New Zealand. So from the SpaceX team, everybody's really happy, everybody's delighted. There's going to be a party, and I guess everybody, customer and SpaceX, are very, very happy.
All right, thank you. Let's take questions. Please wait for the microphone, state your name and affiliation, and to whom you're addressing the question. Rob?
Hi, Rob Perlman with CollectSpace.com for Hans. Two quick questions. One, do you happen to know anything about the GNC bay door, when that will open, and the thrusters, when you'll get your first burn in?
So thrusters are primed and work, and so that means they're already working. We got attitude control. We on teachers communication. GNC bay door is deployed in 2 hours 30 minutes after launch, so that puts it at another hour, basically. GNC door opening is not, I mean, it's not that critical. I don't think this is going to be a big deal.
Jason.
Jason Ryan for SpaceflightInsider.com. This one's for Hans. Especially considering yesterday, given the wonky Florida weather, we know that space flight's never really routine. The quick question I have is, my understanding of CRS is it's supposed to go through 2016, and you have 8 missions remaining in that manifest. Is there any wiggle room on NASA's part, or is that really a hard date, or is that kind of a more nebulous date? How does that deadline work?
So actually, that's a good point. So we did actually this mission in 14 days after the last mission. Yeah. So that is I'm actually amazed myself. I know the team was really working very hard, and a lot of things have to go right in order to make those 14 days turn around. But that obviously allows us to do a lot of missions if you keep that pace up. And I mean, there's things we do right now. We have we're working on a second launch pad here. So there's ways to speed things even up more. Yeah? And we're working on parallelizing integration even more. So having said that, we had actually in the last 12 months 8 missions, if I count everything together, and that is also on the long term, of course, something that we need to increase. I don't see any problems in putting those missions in overall.
At your conservative best, how frequently do you think SpaceX can follow up launch after launch? Is that 2-week window what you think you could do, or do you think maybe you could even shave time off that?
We can do this faster. We can do it in a week. That's yes.
Thank you.
I mean, it's as long as you do it parallel, I don't see any technical issues here. And the weather, as you point out, yes, the weather might delay a day or two. But on the bright side, it's pretty dynamic. So it's rarely that you have rain here for like 3 or 4 days. It comes and goes. And I must also say the weather team is awesome. They find the holes in the sky and work really hard to get us through the lightning and any danger zones on the cloud. So it's working very well. And most of the missions don't have the 1-second launch window either.
James?
James Dean, Florida Today. Hans, for people who are just taking note of the Commercial Crew Award, maybe seeing tonight's launch, obviously we realize there's a lot of work going on the Dragon. You'll be launching from a different pad, but other than that, was like what people saw tonight kind of similar to what they will see when astronauts are on board, or could you just speak to like just, you know, how
I think it's going to be very similar. I mean, it's still 2-stage rocket, so that's going to be very similar. The orbit is typical for an orbit to the space station, whether you go manned or just cargo. We were a little bit manned too this time, right? And so I think this is pretty much what you will see. General. I actually have to admit I've never seen it from the outside, so
with respect to the booster again, I just wanted to make sure I understood it. What is there an attempt to retrieve it, or were you not even trying that this time? Do you have boats out there, or?
Yeah, there's a boat out there, and the boat is getting telemetry. It will do a sweep tomorrow, but we don't expect to have a stage floating there. I actually don't know. I mean, I know that they saw a landing burn. They saw a light, which is the engine firing, but I have no further information at this point in time. It takes a while for the boat data to come back, but I'm pretty optimistic.
Any further questions? Right here in the front row.
Hi, my name's Jeffrey Shapiro. I'm with the Washington Times, and it's a little more of a broader question. Probably I'm playing catch up with everyone else here, but can you just in layman terms explain a little bit about the process now in terms of the Dragon separation from the Falcon 9 and the approach and the capture?
Yeah. So Dragon separated from the second stage. Second stage went down and deposited again, and Dragon will perform a series of maneuvers to basically lift the orbit and make it circular under the station. It will catch up with the station in roughly 48 hours, and when it arrives at the station, it is below the station. It's called the R-bar. It's basically a radial bar going down from the station, and it will climb up that bar, and at certain times it will perform checkouts, and those are go, no-go locations. I believe the first one is at 250 meters below the station, and then there's another one at 100 meters, another one at 30 meters, and then the last one finally at 10 meters. At 10 meters, Dragon will basically hover under the station. And if you know orbital mechanics, the lower you are, the faster you are actually. So you have a tendency to fall forward. So you will see thrusters firing in the forward direction continuously to keep Dragon at that spot. And then the station will use the robotic arm, will grapple Dragon, and then we deactivate Dragon so that the station can move it basically, and they attach it to one of the nodes on Harmony, I believe. I forgot the exact name. And then they open the door and start working.
Yes. Okay. Well, seeing no further questions, expounding on that, the next SpaceX CRS-4 televised event on NASA television begins 5 a.m. on Tuesday for the Grapple, which is scheduled to occur at 7:04 a.m. on Tuesday. In the meantime, you can keep up with the status of Dragon at www.nasa.gov/SpaceX, and you can keep up with the comings and goings of the International Space Station at www.nasa.gov/station. Thank you very much.